Shalom, shalom, Yasharala. Welcome to another session, another class, room 144 this Sabbath evening. Pray that everybody's having a blessed Sabbath. We're going to get right into it. Salaki for the delay. This evening, the topic is this a prophet of the Lord? Is this a prophet of the Lord? So, should be a pretty to the point class, straight to the point. So, let's get to it. We're going to start off with 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21.
1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good.
So the scriptures are telling you to prove all things. And what I was saying a little while ago was that this is something that we experience as we walk into this walk, right? As we start this walk and we join either a study group, a congregation, or a channel. If you guys are watching online and that's the only the only ability you have, the only source that you may have besides your own studies. So sometimes you get hit with that. Am I listening to the proper people? Are they relaying the proper message? Because that's what a prophet is, right? At this moment, in this day and age, what we're doing is we're relaying the message of the Most High. We already have a lot of prophets to go back and understand from, get this knowledge, this wisdom from, right? And relay the understanding. So one thing that we must do, like the scripture just said, it says, prove all things. We must have a good and a solid foundation for us to be able to discern whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether or whether it's factual, right? So read that from the beginning again.
Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good.
So we need to hold fast to that is good, right? To everything that is good. But you got to look at it. How do you come up with that understanding? So one of the things that you got to look at all times is the foundation, which is your law. We must always head back to the law and understand the law. A lot of our people come in and we want to know these prophecies. We want to break down all these things in Revelations, the book of Daniel. How are you going to do that if you don't even have basic understanding of what it is to be an Israelite, of what the Most High requires of us? But a lot of our people love knowledge, love to know things. But we don't know how to go about applying this law, how to serve the Most High, right? So like I said, it's going to be a short one. We're going to get straight to the point and cover those things. Let's get Psalms 147. Salaki, you finished that, right? Abstain. Did you get the abstain part? Yeah, now get 22, Salaki.
1 Thessalonians 5 and 22. Abstain from all appearance of evil.
So things, hold fast that which is good, right? So then it says abstain, stay away from all appearances of evil. So knowing that, Most High is real clear. You're going to be with right people, you're going to do right things, you're going to have a right end. You do the opposite, it's going to get, in the scriptures it talks about, it's going to be a path full of thorns, full of obstacles, right? Don't get it confused. We still are going to face trials and tribulations in this walk. But it's a difference between trials and tribulations that are going to level you up. There's a difference between that, and there's a difference to bumps that you constantly hit because you're making the wrong decisions, right? So that's the understanding you got to have. Abstain from all appearances of evil. But you won't understand evil or right if you don't understand the law. Because the notion, the understanding we have in this world, as long as we don't kill, as long as we don't hurt anybody, as long as we have our own personal relationship with God, we good. Today is Mother's Day, right? Mother's Day in the Latino community. Sunday is Mother's Day in the States. People might look at you like, man, you're not honoring your mother? How is that? But see, people that don't know any better, in their head, it's a day to honor your parent, your mother at this point, right? In the scriptures, it don't say that. In the scriptures, and then when you go into the history of Mother's Day, you'll understand that it's not anything good. So the Most High said, abstain from all appearances of evil. But in the world, we don't see it like that. It's not a big deal. It's just my mom. My mom's a special individual. She's been with me. She's been a good mother. Okay, cool. That's good. Honor her throughout the year, daily. Daily. Why are you going to honor her one day and probably not even honor her? You're probably going to get her flowers, take her out to dinner. Hispanic community, you bring them some mariachi and stuff like that, right? What good is that? Because when the scriptures, what is it, the 5th commandment, right? To honor thy parents. That's the first commandment besides the ones that are geared towards the Most High. That's the first one amongst the brethren, right? To honor your parents. And it says, if you do this commandment, you will extend your life. Where's that knowledge in the world? It's just Mother's Day. What does mom want? What does she like? A lot of times you're going to go and take her out to dinner and have some abominable, meals or whatnot. How is that abstaining from evil? But that's just that's what you see in the scriptures that you read from the prophets. One of the prophets, I believe, is Isaiah. It talks about the mouse and the pork. And it talks about the latter days, the end days, the days that we live in right now. Because a lot of people are like, oh, that was in the past. Now, see, the pigs are raised in a much better condition. They're fed this, that, and the third. Nah, it's still the same thing. It's still abominable in the eyes of the Most High. That's another thing. The Most High does not change, right? So, prove all things, hold fast to that which is good, and abstain from all appearances of evil, right? Now let's go to Psalms 147. This is another key point, because a lot of our people fall into, these other nations and what these other nations got to say. When the Most High says this in Psalms 147.
Psalms chapter 147, verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob.
Unto who?
Unto Jacob.
Unto Jacob. So we must understand, if anybody's talking to you and they are not of the seed of Jacob, the word is not in them. The understanding is not in them. The Most High says, I'm only dealing with a particular set of people. And that's it. Continue.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
So the same thing. He reiterates it, right? He's like, look, it's only unto Jacob, my statutes and my judgments unto Israel. What else does he say?
He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
You see that? There's no way that you're going to be listening to an Ishmaelite, which a lot of our people have and still continue to do, a Spaniard, an Edomite, or any other nation, and think that that's the word of the Most High, that that's a prophet of the Most High. It's not even a man, a lineage. It's not even, that person's not of the lineage of the Most High. Again, these are things that we must examine. So as we're coming in, you might be in jail. You might have learned this law. You might have gotten the word in jail. Who did you get it from? Right? Or wherever you might be at. Where did you get this word from? You got to look at that. If it's not of the lineage of Israel, then guess what? You got to go ahead and find a person that's going to guide you of that lineage. I know sometimes it might get difficult, but it's not. You got, the Deuteronomy 28 to prove it. You got the Spirit to prove it. Again, it goes all back to the law. It falls back to the law. If people are not upholding this law, that's that's a indicator right there that they are not of the Most High. Let's go from there. Let's go to Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 3 and 10. 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 10.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 10. According to the grace of God which is given unto me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahushua.
So you see that? What was Yahushua? John 1 and 1 tells you exactly what he was. He was the Word, the living Word. He was a representation of the word, of the law of the Most High. He came and did exactly, he gave the full understanding of what it was to be a servant of the Most High. That's why you have the Pharisees and Sadducees and all the other sects going back and forth, trying to figure out what he was doing, why was he doing what he was doing, and then at the end he will give them the knowledge and the understanding, like, look, this is exactly what the law said to do. They would try to trip him up, but he's like, nah, it's good to do. Is it not good to do good on the Sabbath? You know, he gave all that understanding. And these are questions that we get hit with sometimes on our own, or maybe by, you know, from family members, from our spouses, our children. So these are the things we got to analyze and be ready to give that proper answer when they're presented. We have these thoughts, right? But a good example is that Christ left. When you read the Gospels, the New Testament, all throughout, not just the Gospels, but all throughout, he lets you know, the Most High lets you know through his word how it is that you must operate in every possible condition, right? Under any circumstance. So he says, for other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is that of Mashiach Yahushai. Then he says this, go ahead.
Verse 12, now if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble.
Okay, so what it's saying right here is the foundation is already set. The materials have been laid out from the beginning, not only in the New Testament, but from the beginning, which Yahushai came and confirmed through him being that living example, right? So he says, now, if any man build upon this foundation and adds gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, go ahead.
Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire.
So it's going to be tested. Remember, I believe it's the book of Revelations, what is it, 19? Is it? Or 20 and 19 that says that you cannot add. Those that add and those that take away, they're going to be judged. They're going to be punished. So that's what it's talking about right here. Like, look, if you're not according to what the Most High laid out already, be careful. And know for a fact that at the end, you will be tested. And if your foundation is faulty, you added to it, you're not going to make it, right? So it says, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. Go ahead.
And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
Exactly. So, again, it's not for us to be comfortable, not for us to be lax and just think like, oh, you know what, leadership has it, I'm good. Yeah, the scriptures say to follow your leaders, right? To be in submission, to listen, right? To serve. But at the same time, are you going to serve some leaders that are not guiding you the proper way? And the right route, the right direction? Nope. You shouldn't. The Most High said, nah. He said, abstain from all appearances of evil. A lot of our people want details. A sentence laid out, a precept saying that in detail. The whole Bible says it. But a lot of times when we're looking for more details, because we already have it made up in our head that we're comfortable doing whatever it is that supposedly we're trying to, you know, find in the scriptures, trying to find a law that goes against it. You see the pattern. A lot of people that fade away is because their foundation was weak. And then guess what it says right here? It was revealed by that fire. When they started getting touched, they made up a good excuse that made sense in their mind. You see it time after time. And they'll leave and really believe that. And if you're used to dealing with these spirits, you see it before they even start saying anything. You kind of have an understanding of where they're coming from. You already could kind of think what they're going to tell you, what they're going to say. It always works out like that. And I'm saying that, I'm standing from the point as the perspective as far as we here, I know for a fact, what we're doing is what the Most High requires of us. We always put it out, not only to the congregation, but people that watch, people that might just be not even visitors. They might have, never stepped a foot in this congregation. But it is told, if you have any type of understanding that you want to sit down and break bread and figure it out, the doors are wide open. You are more than welcome. Because remember, the whole point at the end of the day is to gather the 1/3. If that's not the goal in your congregation, in your mind, to be an aid to raise up the nation, then the understanding ain't there. Whatever your focus is not what the Most High or His Son came to bring back to the understanding of the minds of Israel. Because that's exactly what He came and showed. That's exactly what His mission was, and He fulfilled it, right? So let's go from there. So remember, again, the foundation is key, that we work on a proper foundation. If it ain't Christ, it's not going to make it. Said it right here, right? He's the foundation, master builder. He's that cornerstone. Because when you look even at the whole creation, Yahweh Shai was there. He's been there from the beginning. He's going to be there at the end. And He's going to be there before the end when the judgment comes forth. And the end is Him ruling for eternity. So how are we going to try to get up in the kingdom not knowing and understanding Yahweh Shai? It's impossible. We could fool ourselves, but we're not going to fool the Most High or His Son. And also those individuals that are locked in and actually doing the services of the Most High. Let's go from there. Let's go to Proverbs 4:26.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 26. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil.
Salakia, 4:23. Salakia.
4:23.
Yes, sir.
Keep thy heart with all diligence.
So thy heart, right, is talking about the mind, talking about your spirit. So Most High says, keep thy heart with all diligence. Why?
For out of it are the issues of life.
For out of it are the issues of life. It kind of goes, let me get a Sirach right quick. What is it, 27 and 5? It's talking about the potter. The reason it should be 27. Yes, sir. It gives you some more understanding in regards to what it's talking about right here in the book of Sirach 27 and verse 5.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 27 verse 5. The furnace proveth the potter's vessels. So the trial of man is in his reasoning.
So the trial of a man is in his reasoning. A lot of times we reason with our own vain opinions. So we end up with what? All types of issues, right? All types of issues. It's this cycle. It's basically the curses. We're always trying to break out of these crazy cycles. Single parent homes, drug addiction, right? The list goes on. All types of negativity. But that's what the scripture is saying. Go back to Proverbs. Read that again. 23.
4:23 Proverbs. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
For out of it are the issues of life. So what it's saying is, going back to, we're talking about the foundation right now. We're talking about as you walk in. Also, as you're in the walk, things are going to come up. Remember, we know in part, we prophesy in part. These are things, again, you got to have it in your mind to understand when things come up. You got to be ready. You got to know, okay, you know what? The Most High, that's what He said. That's what He meant. All right, now I get it. And now it's coming into fruition and it's in my eyes. It's here. Let me, Father, show me how to deal with it. Because a lot of people, something might get thrown at them that they never heard before. And it gets real turbulent, right? To the point that you kind of start doubting. You doubt in the people that are leading you. You doubt in the understanding that you yourself have. That whatever you have is already kind of like, man, you know what? I don't know about that. I'll give you a good example, because you might look at me like, what are you talking about? This week, right? This month, the new moon in the calendar was set for what? For the 9th, right? But there was a note next to it. And I've talked to a couple of the congregants that maybe it wasn't understood. Remember, according to scriptures, we got to observe the new moon. We need to spot it. And once we spot it, boom, we on. We let everybody know. For the most part, you're able to spot it ahead of time. Every now and then, if you start watching the moon, at least once or twice a year, it's going to be the situation that we just had. We had it last year. All right, so these are the things you got to look at and understand. So when you get those emails or you get that call, that text message, it's not like, hold up, what are you talking about? And you start doubting, like, oh man, these brothers messing up. What's going on? Because I'm pretty sure several people had that. And it's cool. It's good for you to have that, but that's why the knowledge and the understanding behind it has got to be, relayed to the people. But those are the things you got to look at. You might be in a congregation where they observe, their observances are different. Then you got to figure, like, you know what? Let me try to do my own due diligence to try to figure out what it is. What is the proper way? We're dealing with a situation right now that we're researching a particular place in the world, a particular continent, to see if there was any knowledge, any history of Israel in that particular place, to see, how certain things were done. Just to know, because you got to know, the Most High says in Sirach 5:15, do not be ignorant of no matter whether great or small, right? So these are the things. That's why it says we know in part, we prophesy in part. A lot of our people have never left the hood right here, have never left the States. As soon as you leave the States, you'll see that there's a lot of people of Israel that are in worse conditions than the projects out here. But in your mind, it might be like, man, the project is the worst thing I've ever experienced. Or Skid Row, right? Or whatever hood, whatever slum. Then you start seeing and you start traveling, going back to the scriptures that talk about a traveling man, right? Says he gains a lot of wisdom. He gains a lot of knowledge. Why? Because look at Paul. Paul's a prime example of that. He had knowledge of every church. He had knowledge from Greece, all throughout the known world at that time. He traveled the whole thing. He learned different things. He was dealing with the so-called Gentiles, the scattering, all those of the scattering, right, throughout the world at that time. That's why he was able to expound the way he was able to expound. He was even accused of not keeping the Mosaic law by some that didn't understand. But that's just to show you the understanding could get funny sometimes when things that you're not used to present themselves. But we shouldn't be shook. When those things happen, we should know, okay, you know what? I read this scripture and I read this, I got this understanding. All right, let me balance it out. Cool. And let me make sense of it. Send up a prayer, do a little bit of fasting, whatever is necessary for you to get that understanding. Deal with people that actually have been in the book, have been in the trenches. But these are the things that you need to understand when you're looking at it like, man, is this man a prophet? Is this sister a prophet? Because what it boils down to, a lot of times we hear prophecy is something that's going to happen, right? A lot of the stuff that's going to happen has already been written. It's been written. It's in the Bible. It's happening. Now we need the explanation of what's happening, why is it happening, and how should we be dealing with it? How should we be moving in this present time? Which again, is pretty much every lesson that we come across, right? But then again, you might be in a place where them lessons are not according to scriptures. I don't want to go deep into that, but if you guys have ever turned on the tube and checked out different congregations, different channels, you can see the examples that I'm referring to, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that's way off. We already have when you hear Israel, I think it's getting better, but like within maybe the last 3 years back, anytime you heard, oh, he's an Israelite, she's an Israelite, it was already looked at as something negative, as a group that's real confrontational, a group that's always going to disrespect you in the streets. Why is that? Exactly. That's what a lot of brothers and camps are doing out there. When you read in the scriptures, the Most High, His Son, you don't really ever see Him. You don't ever see Him dealing with the people like that. You look at Paul. You got to read about Paul. Paul was so strategic with everything he did. If you read about Paul, he was able to get out of jail and even protect himself from the Israelites a couple of times, because he was able to work and operate with the system. That was the Roman system, which is basically the shadow that was of this present Babylon that we in right now, the states. But a lot of us, we be out here trying to go against everything and everybody, and not even, our foundation is weak. So then we end up looking like fools, looking like clowns, and making the Most High look like something that, you know what, I'd rather not partake in that. I'm gonna continue to go to church. I'm gonna do my own studies, because y'all brothers and sisters is wilding. Man, if that's the son and that's the daughter of the Most High, not this Most High that I know. And that's where these, these divisions come about. That also happens within here, within the congregations that you're a part of. Because remember, the scripture said that. The scripture said, hey, every spirit is going to be present. It's inevitable. And he also tells you how to deal with these spirits, with every spirit that comes your way, right? So again, going back to understanding a prophet, is it a prophet of the Most High? These are the things you got to look at, the foundations, right? Your foundation got to be solid. So again, it says 23. Yes.
Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
Exactly. So we must know exactly what it is that we're involved in, so we could be able to make the proper decisions. Like it said right here, right? The furnace proveth the potter's vessel. So the trial of a man is in his reasoning. A lot of times in the Israelite community, we don't know how to reason properly. We don't know how to reason according to scriptures. We reason according to our own vain opinions. In the Israel community, and I'm not talking about the outside people now, I'm talking about us here in the walk, a lot of times we base our decisions in vain opinions, our own opinions, our emotions, our feelings. That's why sometimes you hear brothers be like, look, those feelings don't mean anything. Those feelings don't mean anything. When you feel and it's against the Most High, then you got to put that mug in submission. All the spirits, you got to put them in submission. That's what the scriptures tell you. Feelings do matter. Emotions do matter. Most High talks about that. Christ talks about that. It's shown throughout the scriptures. But you got to learn how to rule your spirit. Because that's what spirits are. They move through emotions. They move through your feelings. And as soon as they make you feel some type of way, you go and make you decide to go and make a move, right? And whatever move you make, then that's your trial at the end of the day. However you reason with that decision, that's the type of trial you get. Either you're going to end up with an issue or you're going to end up with a successful outcome, right? So, let me see, I think I want this right here. 23:7. Proverbs 23:7.
Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he.
That's a big one right there. For as he thinketh in his mind. That's not only in the scriptures. You got a whole lot of books out there that'll tell you the same thing. Motivational speakers that'll tell you the same thing. Philosophers that'll tell you the same thing. You are what you think. However you think, that's how you're going to operate. That's all the time. So that's why it's beautiful when people say, nah, we good, blessed. That already, even if you're feeling some type of way, you should check yourself like, man, yeah, you're right. I have mouth, I'm walking, I got shelter, I have food, I have all the essentials of life. And besides that, I have the Most High on my side, because I'm doing what I need to be doing. Although it gets painful sometimes because you lose people. You're going to lose people in this walk. The scriptures already tell you that. The prophets already prophesied about that, right? But again, if you are with the Most High, like David said, man, he is my shepherd. That relationship I have with the Most High is so close that no matter what happens, I'm good. Again, that's a good example. That brother, his life, he went through a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, he transgressed, right? But he came back and was seeking the Most High so strong after his transgression, after he slipped up. And even then, as he was doing that, he was getting hit left and right. His own family was doing him beyond scandalous in front of the nation. Imagine that. You're a king, and all these events that happen, all these things that happened to David back then. Imagine going through that, and you're a public figure, the king of Israel. But he still remained loyal to the Most High. Those are examples of whatever happens to us. Job, that's another one. I mean, so many of them, right? But these are the things you got to look at. As you think it in your heart, so are you. So then we got to have that positive approach in life. We got to wake up. We got to be thankful. We got to have that fortitude. We need to have that foundation, right? That fervency. You got to be fervent in the spirit daily when you wake up, no matter what presents itself, right? You got to be like, you know what? That's cool. That's a trial. It's only going to get me better. I'm going to level up. Your approach should already be, you should be in motion with your thoughts. How you gonna go about dealing with that situation? Instead of lamenting, instead of murmuring, instead of, the things that we normally do. Take on that challenge. Most High says, look, I'm gonna try you. Go ahead, right? So again, going back and still talking about foundation, right? Having a solid foundation. So as you think, that's how you're gonna end up being. And that's how you're going to take, that's, again, going back to the reasoning, how your life is going to shape up. Let's go from there. Let's get 1 Timothy. First Timothy 4 and 12.
1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers, in word and conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity.
So look at that. Again, now going into being that prophet. Prophet could be interchangeable as well, like shepherd, leader, servant. Because that's what all of them were. Moses, you look at what he was. You might not even consider Moses a prophet, but he was a prophet. But beyond that, he was also a shepherd, in the sense of leading the people, right? David, the same thing. Yahweh Shai, the same thing. Paul and them, the same thing. At that time, they started to be called apostles and disciples, right? But still, they were leading the flock. So it says, if you want to be an example, then you got to do this, right? You cannot look at the youth some type of way, like a lot of our people do in our communities. Insignificant. Or they're just kids. Just kids. Like they're less than, right? They're just kids at this moment, so invest in them. We are elders, right? We're older than them, so we're supposed to be good examples. So when they're in the presence of the people, then we should be at our best, right? We should be conducting ourselves properly, appropriately, so they could see and have good examples, so they could grow to be better than us. Because remember, every generation should be getting better. We should be focused on reaching that perfection. A lot of times we end up being similar. A lot of our moms want to be friends to their sons and daughters in this present day, right? In this society. Fathers want to be cool. Fathers want to, be out there and partying it up with their children. Mothers, you see it all the time. Instead of being the parent that you're supposed to be. Brothers just had a lesson recently. The bishop came in and was talking about, the duties of a man as a father and a female as a mother. And the scriptures that he pulled up, man, it's like you really got to go dwell on that. A lot of those things we don't do as a community. A lot of those things we don't even do in here. So it's necessary. Read that script again out from the beginning.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity.
Exactly. So going back to understanding who you are being led by, you got to look at those things. If they have those attributes, if they have those qualities in them, then you're good. If they don't, then you should question yourself. You should question them. You should question where, should you stay here? Should you be here? Probably call a counselor if they allow those, if they have those, right? Because a lot of places don't have that. A lot of places is like like a dictatorship. And I don't even want to use that because low-key, the word, that's what it is. It's the Most High, Yahweh Shai, men, women, but it's the Most High that dictates what goes, right? But what I mean by that is that, look, I'm the elder, you don't even talk to me.
Right.
You talk to them right there, and they'll relay the message to me, and if I want to listen to it, I'll listen to it. If not, I won't consider it. Where's that in the scriptures? Guys be acting like, I wouldn't even say Christ. Acting like gods and stuff like that, right? But it shouldn't be like that. If you're a leader, you're supposed to be right there in the midst, leading the people, dealing with the people. Again, David, a prime example of that. David was in the mix with everybody. That's why even when he transgressed, he was like, who was that? Who did that? Let's go get him. Samuel was like, I'm talking about you, brother. Bam, and it hit him like, oh, snap. Okay, yeah, I did slip up. But just to show you how he was always ready to defend the people, defend the nation, defend the law, defend the Most High. Right? So we must be focused on these things. And the people that you are under, if they're not moving like that, then you got to start questioning those things. Let's go to Sirach 10 and 12. 10 and 2.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered.
There we go. Again, might be thinking, again, why? Talking about profit, what does that got? Everything connects. Everything connects. We read earlier, you got to be a prophet, you got to be from the nation of Israel, right? Now he's letting you know, look, a wise judge will instruct his people. A wise prophet, that's what he did. He would instruct his people. You look at Jeremiah, look at Isaiah, Micah, Obadiah, every single one of them, beginning with Moses. Even when you look at Noah, Noah was a prophet. He told everybody what was coming. Everybody thought that he was crazy, with the exception of 7 other people, his family. Right? But he was a prophet. And it shows you that he was in order with the Most High. That's why the Most High was able to talk to him and relay to him the message that he was to tell the people. Right? So again, it connects. So it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man, somebody that sees aforetime, ahead of time, is well ordered. Go ahead.
As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein.
And then that's how you see, if you're a part of a congregation, you start seeing everybody. Everybody should be similar to the leader. Or to leadership, right? That's how it goes. You can't have a righteous leader and wicked followers. That means he's not leading right. Or vice versa. So we need to understand these things. When you look at certain things that you're doing, or the people that you're congregating with are doing, that's why it's so necessary for you to be a part of a community, a part of a congregation. Because the accountability factor is necessary. If we don't have accountability, then guess what? None of this exists. Nothing's well ordered. There's nobody that's prudent because everybody's doing their own thing, probably living for the moment. 1 month you might follow one thing, the next month you might be in another. I go back, when you look at the history, a lot of times we were following Amalek's calendar. How was that? Without questioning anything. You were just like, well, Amalek said Passover's right here. Amalek said Hanukkah's right here, so we good. And Amalek also said that Hanukkah is 9 days long. So now what? What happens then? But that's the history of Israel. That's what's happened in the past. You probably even got people here that are going to tell you, you know what, yeah, I was observing it like that. The Most High said, look, make sure you examine all things, hold fast to that is right, that is good, right? But if we're not doing our due diligence, how are we ever going to figure out what's right and what's wrong? What's factual, what was added on? We read about the foundation. Is this the foundation of Christ? Is this what Christ was keeping? Because even for the Feast of Dedication, which we're going to go into John 10 in a minute, he tells you what we're going to talk about. And then at the end of that chapter, 10:22, it says, and it was in Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication. So when was he observing dedication? Because a lot of people have issues, right, in Israel, that dedication should not be kept. So why was Christ keeping it?
Right.
Why was Christ keeping Hanukkah?
Passover.
He kept everything. Tabernacles, it talks about it. He kept every feast. So how is it that we have issues? How is it that whoever's teaching you is teaching you otherwise? Did they skip that scripture? And again, you could go deep into it and pull out a gang of different things, but I'm just saying, so you think, wherever you stand, wherever you're at, analyze who your leaders are, analyze what they're leading you to. And if it's not according to scriptures and the foundation of Christ, then guess what? They are not prophets of the Most High. Oh, but they're of Israel. Yeah, that's cool. But they're not giving you the message that the Most High gave the men of Israel to give to you. Because there was also wicked prophets and there was also wicked priests when you read about in the scriptures. Because all it was, they were relaying you the wrong message. And priests, you could read about priests. There was homosexual priests in the Bible that certain kings allowed to exist. Think about it. I mean, look at the history of Israel. Yeah, you get that.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 6. Not as though the word of God hath taken none effect, for they are not all Israel.
You listen to that. For they are not all Israel. Which what?
Which are of Israel.
Hold up, what does that mean? Exactly what we're talking about. They could be of Israel, but not of Israel. Meaning they don't have the intent of serving the Most High righteously. Then you might have issues with that. Well, man, we just kept Simon. Memorial Simon was a couple of weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. So what was the lesson about during the Memorial Simon? If you had never read Maccabees, it's not only for the Memorial Simon, but all throughout the history of the Maccabees, there was wicked alchemists, alchemists. Wicked, who was another one? Jasons. Mm-hmm. There was Jasons, there was Judas. You read about all that throughout the scriptures. So why is it so shocking when you hear this? I mean, we read it in the scriptures, but these are things you got to understand. The bishop went in on that as well. You know, Israel thinking that not one Israelite in the walk is an enemy of the Most High. How is that? Then we understand, we start thinking, why is there always division? Why can't we all just get along? Right. Show me in the scriptures when everybody got along. I'll wait. You don't see it. There was times that there was order, but there was still people of Israel outside of that plotting against Israel. Because a lot of our people always love that wicked side, right? They love to go against whatever the Most High has laid out for us. Think about it. In the wilderness, what was it? 2 people? And the new generation? That means every single individual that was able to witness all the miracles of the Most High, out of all that generation, that whole generation, only 2 people made it. So it shouldn't be far-fetched when we read about these things, when you're among certain people and start seeing things fall apart. If you see them fall apart, then guess what? You know what? You got to make your exit. You should make your exit before that happens. The whole thing is, again, having that proper foundation, right? So let's go from there. Was that it? What did I give you last? Yes, Rock. Oh yeah. Now we're done with that. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew 12.
Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets.
This is the law and the prophets. So going back to what I'm saying, right? Because it might be like, man, I should making stuff up. No, that's what it is. Being a prophet, being somebody that's relaying the message. Prophet and prophetess. Males and females. You go and look for that counsel from a sister, and she's not according to the scriptures. Abstain from all appearances of evil. How do you do that? What's the process? Matthew 18 it. Hold up, but she's a congregant in the same congregation that I'm in. All right, well, fix it. If she ain't giving you that proper knowledge, that proper understanding, that proper guidance, talk with her. If she don't get it together, then bring a witness. If she still don't listen, you guys already know the process. You present it to the congregation. If she still don't want to get it, then guess what? You could go on your own mission that way, because we don't need no cancers in the body. That's not something that we make up or we made up. It's in the scriptures. It's laid out in the scriptures. And remember, everything that's laid out in the scriptures is so we could have a good end. Because it says, treat them like what is it, a heathen or a publican? A heathen, right? Treat them like a heathen so they could be ashamed. In Thessalonians, it talks about that. That way, through that shame, if it even exists, what do you get out of that at the end? You should get repentance. That spirit should get cut up to the point it's like, man, you know what? Man, I got booted. I got exiled from the congregation. I get it. I was in the wrong. Father, please forgive me. And then guess what? You get just like the prodigal son. You do what you got to do. Sometimes you might hit them back up like, hey, look, I meditated. I've repented. These are my fruits. If all possible, allow me back. Then people take counsel and see the severity of things, whatever the the transgression was or whatever the issue was. And then you deal with it, not according to how you feel about the person, but according to their works. That's another thing that people have problems with. But why? Why was she let back in? Why was he let back in? Again, understanding the scriptures. Read that again, huh?
Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets.
So is this a protocol of a particular congregation? No. It says, for this is the law and the prophets. This is the law and the prophets. And you have a lot of situations in the Gospels that talk about it. They talk about the servant, right? The servant that was being pressed, and then at the end of the day, they gave him, he was granted mercy, right? He was presented with the same situation on the other side, and what did he do? He didn't grant no mercy. So how is it that you want mercy, but then you're not going to give it? It don't work like that. Forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. But I still haven't forgotten her. I haven't forgotten him. I forgave him, I mean. How does that work? You think if you don't forgive people, you think the Most High is going to forgive you? We just read it right here. No. Call it karma in the world. Call it justice right here. So again, see, it's a balance. And going back to it, is this a prophet of the Most High? You got to look for these things. You got to look for these things and understand them. If they're not present, then guess what? Chances are they're not working for the Most High. From there, let's get 2 Timothy. Actually, we don't got to go there. 2 Timothy 2:15, it talks about rightly dividing the word of truth. rightly dividing the word of truth, right? Study to show thyself approved. So that's another part. We cannot be lax. We cannot just be showing up to class. People tell you, we tell you all the time, look, go back home, take notes, go back and catch. If there's any bones, guess what? Come back. Sometimes a brother will, might say something not because he was trying to relay the wrong message or some what do you call it? Some relay any lies, but he might have been in thought. When you're up here, you're thinking, you're processing. Sometimes you're in the spirit so deep that you might say something that was off, that didn't connect. Usually people catch it like, hey, it wasn't him, it was this. Oh, okay, so hey, Salakia, I meant this. Cool. But if for some reason that correction doesn't happen live, guess what? You go back. If you're part of the congregation, you could hit a brother up, hey, did you mean this? Oh, you know what? I didn't catch it, but thank you. But you're only going to know that if you're studying by yourself, on your own, and really taking those notes and having that understanding. You might be the one out there in the audience, hey, and raise your hand and correct whatever was said at that time. But my point is that you gotta study for yourself, right? Show thyself approved to the Most High, and it says, the point with that, the part of rightly dividing the word of truth. Again, we rehearsing the righteous acts here. If this prophet or prophetess is coming and showing you something that is against scriptures, and the only reason you know is because you've been studying and showing yourself approved in the eyes of the Most High, then guess what? Either you're going to correct them again, they're going to get it right, or you're going to abstain from appearances of evil. That's how easy it is. The walk is not that complicated. We make it more complicated than what it is. Amos 3:3, can two walk together lest they agree? Nope. But the whole point is to agree, if all possible. Because remember, the point is in gathering the 1/3 to be sealed so we could be up out of here. Because people be like, how come there's so much division in Israel? It's meant to be like that. It's been like that for centuries. Yahweh Shai eventually is going to bring us all together, but does that mean we just wait and don't do our part? We need to do our part. The apostles, the disciples were doing their part back then. And you see all the confusion that was going on. But they kept going till they got it right. Then through trials and tribulations, not through trials, but through our ignorance and our sin, all these sects and all these different religions came up. And we are, again, where we at now. The power was transferred to a no people, right? Esau took over. Because remember, the original Christian church was us, was Israel, ruling it, leading it. How did the Pope end up in charge? Look at our history, you'll figure it out, you'll find out. But just to show you, through sin, it's always been through sin. Most High says, man, I have a no people lead you. He said it just like that too. No people, a subhuman, you're gonna respond to them. And that's where we at. That's where we been. But all praises we coming back, right? So let's go from there and get John 10. Everybody good? Let me get John 10 and start at verse 9.
John chapter 10 and verse 9. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life. And
you see that? Salakia. So he says, I have came, I'm here, and I'm here in this book, so Israel could have life. Prior to that, he said, the thief though, the thief that's out here dressed like a shepherd, he's out here to get you. He's out here to cause division amongst the people. He's out here to, stain people's names out of envy, out of pride, out of ego, and still gonna claim to be an Israelite, to be a righteous Israelite at that. And then you start looking at, you could call people out. You could start seeing, who knows this brother? Who knows this sister? And you start seeing what they about. And you start seeing negative reports on one end by a brother or a sister that claims to be righteous. And then you see the report on the other end that actually checks out, right? From a person that really doesn't say much or do much except the works of the Most High, which is usually what things are anyway. People that talk a lot sometimes, the loudest one in the room, you already know what it is, right? So these are the same things in this law, in this walk. But again, that's how you prove all things. Hold on, let me check the report on this sister. That's what you do when you're courting, right? To end up with a spouse. Before you get married, you're supposed to court and check everybody's background. Check that person's background. Hey, brother, what do you know about this sister? Or vice versa. And then if it checks out, then cool. You make, end up in a proper situation. But if you're getting the report back and it's coming back negative, and you continue to make that move, to make that that covenant, and then you have years of pain, trials, and tribulations that weren't necessary, that are not according, because they're not because of the Most High, but they're because of the decision you made. Whose fault was that? So it's the same thing. So he's saying right here, right? I am the door. By me, if any man enter. That's going back to what we read earlier. The foundation is Christ. Without Christ, we cannot enter. He's saying the same thing. I am come that they might have life, and that they may what?
I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly.
More abundantly. Showing you the necessity. Man, it was so necessary for him to come, because at the end, what Israel had was nothing but confusion. If you look at the Pharisees, they believed one way. You had the Sadducees, they believed another way. These were the leaders. These were the leaders. Again, read Paul so you could understand what I'm talking about. Paul even used that as leverage, not in a negative way, but understanding what certain parties' beliefs were. It's like looking at the states, Democrat and Republican. Not like that, but just so you guys get an understanding, right? You had the Sadducees and the Pharisees, two biggest groups back in the day. You had more than them. You had Essenes, you had Zealots, you had the, what else did you have? Sakari, which, are the same. So these two main groups, the Sanhedrin, right? They still had division amongst them. So showing you, imagine these people have divisions, how were they going to be leading the people to life? You couldn't. That's why Yahweh Shai said this. Read that last part again.
I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly.
More abundantly. Go ahead.
I am the good shepherd. Mm-hmm. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep.
Why would he say, I am the good shepherd?
Shepherds.
Shepherds. There's all types of shepherds, right? Mm-hmm. So he says, I am that good shepherd, right? I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. Continue on.
But he that is an hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep.
There you go. That's what we got to look at. Is this brother, is this sister a prophet of the Most High? Well, let's see how he's dealing with the people. Let's see what type of works they have. Let's see if they actually put the people first or themselves. Are they greedy? Are they selfish? Egotistic? Prideful? Basically everything contrary to the fruits of the Spirit. If that's what that person has as a character, you're in the wrong place. You're being led by the wrong people. Abstain from all appearances of evil. You got Israel. You got Israel all around. That's why you got to be humble at the same time. No ego. and go in. You come in as a student, and you listen, you stay, take notes, pay attention. You analyze things. That's how you're going to be able to see and discern, okay, guess what? I'm in a good place. Nope. I should bounce. I should make my exit and search elsewhere. In the meantime, go and do some praying, do some fasting so the Most High could guide you the proper way, in the proper direction. But these are the things he's letting you know right here. Look, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. And then he said, but the hireling, right? The one that's just doing it, how 1 Peter 5:2 talks about, for filthy, for that filthy money, right? For them filthy lustful things that they seek. It's like, them brothers don't care about no person in the congregation, nobody in the congregation. Which is what you see in these churches out here. How many of our people are caught up or still caught up in them churches? Catholicism, a universal church, one of the biggest churches. And out of that comes everything else, believe it or not. They still control everything. The point is like, look, if we give them all these different shepherds, all these different pastors, all these different leaders, at first they're not even of the lineage of Yahweh, of Jacob, but let them, whatever they want, whatever they feel like fits their spirit, they're going to have something there for them. And our people go and end up in all these different religions, right? All this confusion. So again, is it the foundation that we read about? It's not. It's not Christ. It's not Christ-based, even if we consider ourselves Christians. And then at the end, he says, I will test your works out, and you will be exposed. That's why on our end, we have that passion when we come and talk to our brothers, our sisters, our family members, our friends, that they don't see. Because they're void of this knowledge. They're void of understanding that it's a serious situation. Dealing with the Most High and seeking him and being in order with him is not a light thing. And if a lot of our people don't have that fear, a lot of our people don't even know to have that fear. That's why we come here and we end up confused, especially with the wrong leaders, the wrong understanding, the wrong doctrine, then it's chaotic. And it's more confusion. But again, remember, it was already laid out for that. The devil is out here trying to, he wants your soul, no matter where you're at. That's why when you're in them churches, everything is cool. Nobody's tripping, because guess what? Everybody in sin. So he's like, hey, I got them. Let me go work over here. Let me work on these people right here. This brother right here. Oh, guess what? I'm going to get on him. And he got a wife. Oh, okay. He's kind of strong. Let me get at his wife. Oh, wife is pretty strong. You know what? Let me get at one of his kids right here. It works like that. Trust me. And again, that's why you need that body to hold you down. Without that body, you're opened up for destruction. So continue on with that.
Verse 13. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep.
Careth not for the sheep. That's why they're so selfish. It's give me, and nothing for the congregation. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Think about that deeply, man. I know if you're a congregant here, and if you're in the GAs, I guess the General Assemblies, you might get fed up of things that are talked about, especially when it comes to, in regards to money, right? But you got to look at things. In a place where it's grassroots, how many people are helped annually compared to the big churches that you were at? That everybody gives abundantly, a tenth at least. But when you come and ask for aid, they don't even bother with you. Those are examples and confirmations of where you're at, either being a proper place, a place of the Most High, or the opposite. But a lot of times we don't even consider this. We don't even appreciate those things. Then again it says, right, the hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling. He's only doing it for money, and careth not for the sheep. Go ahead.
I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine.
Look at that, right? So he says, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. That 1 Corinthians 1:10 in one accord. Go ahead.
As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep.
Uh-huh.
And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
You see that? So he's letting you know, look, the ones I have right now, they know me and I know them. Just like the Father knows me and I know him. There's also some other ones that are not here right now that eventually are going to get it. But we at the end of the day are going to be one, which is the mission of the Most High. The reason why Yahweh Shah was even here in the first place, and is going to be here the second time. But just to show you right there, he's letting you know, look, there's only one way. If you read before in that chapter, he's letting you know about these fake shepherds that are out here just, again, for their own gain, for their own lust. Right? So again, he's saying, look, it's going to happen regardless, but the way you're going to know that you're in the right place and you're one of mine is if you know me and I know you. How do you do that? Be like, man, well, I never met Christ. Well, you know his word, though. You know his word, you know what he requires of you. And you also know what tempts you sometimes, and you be like, do I really need to do that? Well, yeah, if you want to be on his good side, yes. If you don't care, if you don't have no fear, and no, it don't matter. Because he himself said it, look, if you're going to be lukewarm, just bounce. Go in the world. Go in the world. Don't think that at the end of the day, because you were 1 foot in, 1 foot out, that I'm going to regard you. No. He says, I'm going to be like, I know you not. I don't know who you are. Depart. Man, it's real cut. It's real clear. It's straight to the point. But still, in this walk, you're going to have people that, think otherwise. And think that the Most High is not as clear as he really is. Let's go from there, jump down to... actually go to Philippians 2. Get 1 through 4, please.
You said 1? 2. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. If there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded.
All right, so he's letting you know, look, if Christ is in the mix, you have any regards for Christ, remember, he says, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded. For that confusion that comes a lot of times, like, well, there's so many congregations, there's so many doctrines. Letting you know, look, the whole point at the end, try to be like-minded. It takes a sacrifice for us to be like-minded. I mean, we all come from different backgrounds right here. But guess what? All praises to the Most High, we're keeping the same feast days nowadays. We're following the same doctrine. So is it doable? Yes, it's possible. is what it's going to be at the end of the day. Remember what the Most High said. Every prophet, that's one thing. Every righteous prophet did not switch the judgments and the covenants of the Most High. That's something that you could look at. And as soon as somebody's talking otherwise, oh, well, guess what? Christ is not coming back. Christ already came. And he came at this time and blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, bro, all right, it was good to know you, but peace. And again, there's so many things that they could bring up that they do bring up that make no sense when you're grounded, when your foundation is solid. You're like, man, that's crazy. I'm going to hear you out, though, just to see where you're coming from. You see with brothers here on Saturday, the different doctrines that we go into, and you see, like, really? What? That's not real. Like, yeah, brothers came and, several brothers came across that, them thoughts, them ideas, them philosophies, them doctrines. And people stand by those and live by those. And it's a bunch of nonsense, but it's out there. Confusion of faces is what the Most High said, right? In the book of Daniel. So he says, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded. Go ahead.
Having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, But in in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves.
Go ahead.
Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others.
It's another factor right there, or factors of which you should be looking at or looking for. If we're under Christ, then all these things should be fulfilled, should be in motion with amongst those people, right? Nothing to be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, esteeming each other, right? Looking out for each other, caring for each other. But if you see certain people just dealing with themselves and not caring for the rest of the congregation, that's a red flag right there. Let's get that. Let me see. Go to Isaiah. Isaiah 52 and 13.
Isaiah chapter 52, verse 13. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high.
So who are they talking about right here? Who's Isaiah talking about? Anybody? Israel. Talking about Israel's talking about Yahweh Shai in particular, right? So he says, read it from the top again.
Behold, my servant shall deal prudently.
His servant, talking about Yahweh Shai. Remember we read earlier in Sirach about a righteous leader being a prudent individual that has everything in order, right? Right here, the word is letting us know that Yahweh Shai was going to be what again? Read it from the beginning.
Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high.
Go ahead.
As many were astonished or astonished at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men.
So you see how he's talking about Yahweh Shai, right? But the point right there is that he was already prophesied in the Old Testament the type of individual he was going to be. And we could go into other prophets, but it's said and is fulfilled in the New Testament, and then it shows you that he was considered a servant before anything, and that he was going to be set above at the end, right? So that was the same thing with David. David was a shepherd. David was a prophet. And David was a servant to the people before he was a king. And after, when he became a king, he was still a servant. You could compare him to Yahweh Shai to an extent, because he was always about the people. Remember when he was in his when he was an elder already, I forget exactly what age it was, but he still wanted to be in the front lines. And they're like, nah, you cool, you good, you did your time. But just to show you how he was never a selfish individual. He was always about the people. He was always dealing with the people. And he was always dealing with the people not according to his feelings, because you have the example with Saul. And was Abigail's Nadab, right? Nabal. When Nabal was Saul, a bunch of different people. Saul, he could have taken him out. Saul was coming for his life. And he says, nah, I'm not going to touch the anointed of the Most High. With Abigail's husband, he almost got to him. Abigail came in the mix. He reasoned, and he let it be. The Most High dealt with it. But just to show you the balance that the brother had. Well, Yahweh Shai too. Yahweh Shai, you do know that he got upset a couple times, right? When he was in the house of the Most High, remember, he started checking everybody. He came and knocked stuff down because they were doing works. They was doing negotiations on the Sabbath. So it's showing you that balance. Like, yeah, you got to have a proper balance. You got to be able to rule your spirit, but at the same time be able to come through and handle what you got to handle when need be. And you know that time, because remember, he said, nah, you know what? Chill. You ain't got to cut nobody's ear. You ain't got to cut nobody up. I could just call. You know, I got the ability to call on legions right now and end this, but it's not the time. It's not the time. So these are all things that we got to look at when we're looking and dealing with people. We must understand if these people have these qualities and they're living a certain life that the Most High requires of us, then yeah, you could consider, you could look at them as prophets, shepherds, teachers, right, counselors, and so forth. Let's finish it up right quick. Isaiah 8 and 20, and then Proverbs 4 and 2.
Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
There you go. It's not something that I'm saying, it's what the scriptures say. If it's not according to these scriptures, there's no light in them, meaning it's a bunch of lies. And if it's a bunch of lies, it's no good. And you already know you got to abstain from all appearances of evil. Let's get Proverbs 4 and 2.
Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 2. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law.
Exactly. Forsake ye not the law of the Most High. If you have that as a foundation, you're going to be good. You're going to be straight. There's going to be no issues messing with you. And you guys could take down Philippians 2, which was going to follow after Isaiah 52 and 13, just to show you how Christ ended up being set up in the position that he ended up in, right? Being on the right hand of the Most High. But it took him what? All them works. It took for him to be in all humility, right? He was always humble. He was always about the people. He was a good servant. He dedicated his life to Israel, to the works of the Most High. And then eventually, as being lowly and being meek, he ended up on the right side of the Most High. And he says, every knee shall bow at the end of the day. So again, remember, the 144 that's going to be ruling in Israel, they need to be the same way. But if these brothers are out here acting like they're better than anybody else and prideful and egotistic, right, then that's not it. That's not the spirit that the Most High is looking for. That's never been the spirit that the Most High is looking for. So those prophets are not prophets of the Most High. The people that are doing the works according to what it says, what the scriptures say, then you're good. Again, it says, I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. But with that, we're going to close it out. All praises to the Most High. I hope that it was edifying. Again, if you have any questions, you know, we have Q&A every first Monday of the month. And also feel free to, you know, write us, leave a comment.
Or you can send an email at reply@truenation.org if it's a pressing matter in the meantime between the Q&As as well.
Exactly. So with that, we're going to close out. Please tune in tomorrow at 4:30 Pacific time to close out, you know, as we close out for the Sabbath. Shalom. Till next time.
Shalom.